There are three very important questions that young people ask. And I think your life and you are being able to be successful as a teenager, they are determined by your ability to answer these three questions. And I call them the three most important questions you can ask in life. And by the way, even if you don't ask any other question, but you only ask these three questions, then you'll be good to go. You will be so empowered by the answers to these questions that you will be able to navigate your life with greater ability to make right decisions. You'll be able to manage what I think somebody has asked about, anger and peer pressure. You'll be able to focus on your responsibilities now in your life. You will be able to choose your friends more wisely. And the ability of a teenager to answer these three questions has everything to do with the kind of life you will have 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line. Remember, you will not be a teenager forever. And so you don't want to live like you're going to be stuck in that moment of being a teenager. You want to realize that there is a future that is waiting for you. There is a tomorrow that is coming. There are a life after teenage that need to prepare for. And they will prepare for that life is in the questions. Like I said earlier, these are three questions that I asked myself when I was younger, and I keep asking myself even as I grow older, and they help me to be able to make my decisions in a way that makes my tomorrow better. What are the three? Is the question, who am I? That's the question of your identity. Now, why is this question important? This question is important because if you don't know who you are, you will never know how you're supposed to live your life. A lot of young people get in trouble because they have not defined, as a young person, who am I? As a young person, what is my identity? And so what happens when a young person does not know their identity? They are forced to pick their identity from people that can never give them the right identity, or from sources that can never give them the right identity. The question of identity is so powerful that I would like to give you a story just to illustrate how powerful the question of identity is. So I had this very interesting story about a man that went to the forest and he picked an egg, and he didn't know which bird had laid this egg. And so he picked it and he takes the egg home with him. And luckily, the man had a big farm and he had a lot of chicken in that farm. So because some of the chickens that he had on the farm were brooding on their eggs, he decided, let me take this egg and put it among the other eggs that are being brooded over by chickens. Now, what he did not know is that the egg that he had collected was an eagle's egg. So, of course, the eagle's egg was put among the chicken eggs, and the chicken lay on it. And of course, after a few weeks, the egg hatched. And of course, what would come out of an egg, an eagle egg? Of course, an eaglet, right? So the eaglet came out of the egg, and of course, it grew up in the farm. It did not grow up among other eagles. It grew up amongst chicken. And so, you know what this eagle decided to do? It could only learn from its environment. And so, because the environment around it, the only other bird that was a reference point was a chicken, it picked up chicken habits, even though it was an eagle. Yeah. When the chickens would peck the ground looking for grains, looking for insects, the eagle would do the same. Why? The eagle had grown up in an environment that gave it a wrong identity. One time, as these birds are on the farm, a very big eagle flew over the farm, and all the chickens were looking up at this majestic bird that was in the air. They were looking at it and admiring it. And this eagle that was living among the chicken was also looking up at this bird and admiring it. And of course, inside this eagle, he was wishing, I wish I can be like that bird. I wish I can be able to fly and be able to up there in the skies, but I can't. I am just but a chicken. What had happened to that eagle? The eagle had lost its identity. And I want you to realize that your identity is something that you can live and never find out. Why? You never ask that question, who am I? And I want to ask you a question. What do you think could have happened to that eagle if he was to really ask himself, who am I? Am I like the chickens around me? Am I like the farm around me? Am I like the environment around me? Or is there something very unique about my identity that makes me to be able to rise above the realities of my environment? So the first very important question that you must ask as a teenager, as a young person, is the question of identity. This question leads us to the next question that you need to ask yourself, which is a build-up of the first question. And the question that you need to ask next after the question of identity is the question of, what attitudes will I choose? This is an important question. Why is it important? Your life will end up being a product of your identity and your attitudes. Your identity and your attitudes. And what is your attitude? Your attitude is your frame of mind. It is how you see the world. It is how you interpret the events around you. Because your attitude determines how you respond to the events around you. Now, it is very interesting. I was looking at this video that was doing rounds over the internet last year after the results of KCPE, I think, came out. And of course, there were students that were top of their game, and there were others that were not at the top of their game. And I remember one of the students that was at the top of their game was brought up in a very low-end family. You know, they finished their class 8, they scored very good marks, but there was no money to take them to high school, right? But you see, here is where you see the power of attitude. You know what this little girl who was raised in a slum did? Instead of sitting back and waiting for life to define their attitude, they literally went, took some mangoes, put them on a wheelbarrow, sent money fees. That young person, they have a very good attitude to life. Now, what would another ordinary young person do? For example, my parents are not able to pay school fees for me, so they would get into drugs and to crime so that they can money or a living, getting that it is events in your life as a teenager that will define you, but it is your attitude. What is the attitude inside you? And I want to tell you another to illustrate the power of attitude as we go on. So I had this very interesting story about a man that had a very old donkey. Yeah, this donkey had served him for many years. And one day, of course, the donkey fell into a pit. And the guy came and he tried to lift it from the pit, and he couldn't get the donkey out of the pit. So what did he decide? After all, the donkey is old. It has served me for many years. What am I going to do? Let me just bury. So he decided, I am going to take a shot. I'm going to bury this donkey and forget about it. But I want to tell you that this donkey had an attitude wanting to survive its environment. So here's what the donkey would do. Every time this man would throw in soil inside the pit, soil would fall on the back of the donkey would shake itself, the soil would fall on the bottom of the pit, and the donkey would step on higher, right? So the man would throw in the soil inside the pit, the donkey would shake itself, step on the soil, and higher. Process until the guy had thrown in enough soil in that pit. Donkey had stepped on enough soil and come up higher, and he was able to walk away into his freedom. What was the advantage that that donkey had? That advantage. Tell you this. Part of what you will realize as a young person is that life continually tests you. I think I had somebody mentioning about high school life being difficult, exams being difficult. And I'll tell you something that will help you now, help you in the future, and what you to realize is that your attitude determines your response to life. And by the way, it is not possible to have the right attitude if you don't have the right identity. Your identity is what gives you the power to have the right attitude. And so, being young people, we are saying as a teenager, the second question that life will ask you is, what attitude choose? Are you going to choose to be positive, or are you going to choose to be negative? Are you going to choose to be responsible, or are you going to choose to be irresponsible? Choose to be disciplined, or are you going to choose to be casual? All these questions are questions that have to do with attitude. And we are saying that your attitude builds on your identity. So the second question that life will ask you is, what will you choose? So number one is, who are you? Number two is, what attitudes will you choose? Number three is a very important question. Question that as a young person, you are going to be challenged on very frequently by life. And the third question is, what lifestyle will I adopt? Now, here is the thing that you will realize in your teenage. In fact, between ages 13 to 85, one of the things that you're going to find society continually trying to do to you is to lifestyle. Yeah. Right now, I'm sure you are aware, there are people who are choosing a gay lifestyle. There are lesbian lifestyle. There are people who are choosing a drug lifestyle. There are people who are choosing different lifestyle. Is a choice that only you can make. The choice of your lifestyle cannot be made for you by your parents, your friends. It cannot be made for you by your teachers. Only you can make the choice of your lifestyle. And why is this important? Your lifestyle is like a door. It only opens from the inside, and you're the only one that has the key to that door. What lifestyle will you adopt? One of the things that really helped me when I was younger, when I was in Form 2, in a school called Highway Secondary School in South B, is that I decided that I was going to choose a lifestyle that is based on the Word of God. I decided the Word of God was going to define my lifestyle. By the way, there are only two things that will define your lifestyle: the Word of God or the world around you. The Word of God or the world around you. You don't have many options when it comes to your lifestyle. It will either be you choose black or you choose white. There are no gray zones. It will either be you choose truth or you choose what is popular. You choose public opinion or you choose those things that will help you to become a person you can admire 10 years, 15 years from today. And I want to ask you a question, because right now you're at that stage where it is not your parents that are choosing your lifestyle for you. It is you that is choosing your lifestyle for yourself. What lifestyle are you choosing? Are you choosing a lifestyle that you're going to admire 10 years from today? The choices of lifestyle you're making today, are they making you somebody 10 years down the line you will admire and say, I am so glad I chose this lifestyle? Let me tell you, one of the things that I did is that I chose a lifestyle of wanting to identify with Jesus, to identify with the Christian faith, to identify with Christian values. And let me tell you, that was about, I was in high school, I think about 25 years ago or so, yeah? But here is something that I can tell you without any fear of contradiction. The fact that I chose to have a Christian lifestyle then, when I was in Form 2, has made my life what it is today. And why is that important? Your lifestyle is your choice. And so the question is here, what lifestyle are you going to choose? There are many things that are going to try to sell you on the lifestyle that you're going to choose. There are movies that will sell a lifestyle to you. There are series on Netflix that will sell a lifestyle to you. There is an environment, there are peers around you that will try to sell you on a lifestyle that you need to adopt. And I want you to understand that the lifestyle that you choose today will determine where you'll be 10 years, 20 years from now. And guess what? 10 years or 20 years will pass like a flash. You will be so surprised. I was in a group on WhatsApp recently with the guys that we used to be in high school. And we were just having a discussion, and it hit me that here we are already parents. Some of us are already raising teenagers. And just the other day, we were in high school. Just the other day, we were having those temptations to sag our pants and to pierce our ears and to put tattoos on our bodies and all those lifestyle issues. Now, here is the thing that you need to understand as a young person. The lifestyle you choose will determine whether you will be happy 10 years from now, or you will be very miserable because of the lifestyle that you've chosen. Now, these three questions are very important for you to continually ask yourself, because they will define how your life will end up looking like. Yeah. So let me see whether we were listening. I want to just remove my slide there, and I want you to give me on the chat, and I maybe not even on the chat. I want to pick people to tell me what are the three important questions that I have said are important for you to ask yourself. So Winnie, I can see you're the first one on my screen. Just unmute and tell me, what is the first question that I said is important for a young person to ask themselves? Winnie, if you're there, you can unmute and tell me what is the first question so that I can see whether we are together. Yes, Winnie, please go ahead.
Who am I? Identity.
Identity. Who am I? Identity. Thank you so much, Winnie. Question number 2 was what? Joshua, I can see you on my screen. Tell me, okay, I can see Steve raised his hand. Just give me a minute, Steve. Let me get to Joshua and then I'll get to you. So Joshua, what is the second question we said that as a young person you must ask yourself?
The second question, what attitudes will I choose? Responsibility.
What attitudes will I choose? Responsibility. Very important question. And I'm glad that you guys are listening, and I'm very excited that this is going on well. I think somebody had raised their hand up. Who was that? Please, you can talk if you had. Yes, Steve. Steve, please go ahead and I think you wanted to say something.
That question.
Yes, please go ahead.
That question was, which lifestyle will I adopt?
Yes.
Conformity.
Yes. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much, Steve. And I want you to realize that as we go on with our conversation, that these three questions are going to define your future more than you imagine. More than the grades you get, and grades are great. By the way, guys, do all that you can to get the best grades in school. One of the things that I did when I was in high school, and like majority of you are in high school, is that I was not number one. I won't even lie to you that I got an A. I did not. I won't lie to you that I got a B, because I did not. I actually got a C+. But the thing that I love about that life that I had was that the C+ that I got was because I gave it my very best. Don't be under pressure to be number one. Just give your very best. Life is not about being number one. Life is about bringing your best into the game, right? And I want you to remember, just recently we were watching the World Cup and all of us, our eyes were glued on our screens. And if you remember, there was a player called Kylian Mbappe, very popular player who is of African descent, but now lives in France. And this guy, of course, his team did not win. It made it to the finals, but it did not win. But this guy got the golden boot for being the best player in the tournament. And I don't know whether you realized that when he was being awarded the golden boot, the gentleman was not happy. I mean, he was sad. He was gloomy. He was discontented. He was not very happy that his team did not win. And that's okay. That happens. Of course, when you don't win, sometimes you don't feel very happy. But here is the thing. The question is never whether did you win or not. The question is, did you give your best? And by the way, when you have the right identity, when you have the right attitude, and when you have the right lifestyle, you don't have to worry about being number one. Those three things will make you to live up to your best as a young person. So the three questions again are the question of identity. Who am I? The question of attitude, conformity. Which attitude will I choose? And then number three, the question of lifestyle, the question of lifestyle. So let me quickly give you a few more thoughts, and then I'm going to allow us to ask some questions as I bring my conversation to a close. So, but I'm going to share with you just a few more thoughts. But before I go on, I want to pick a few more people to tell me, what are you hearing? What is resonating with you? What is standing out for you? Let me pick Grace. Grace, what is standing out for you so far in our discussion this morning? What are you hearing, and what is that truth that you feel, wow, this one was something that I needed to hear? Grace, you can unmute and speak, please.
So I've realized how to choose the right attitude so that I can build my identity.
Yes, thank you so much, Grace. You have realized that your attitude and your identity are things that are within your control. Emmanuel Ayabe, I want you to unmute and share with us, what are you hearing? What are you learning? What has stood out for you so far?
Yes, what has stood out for me is that your life is determined by either God or the activities that you do, or the world itself.
Yes.
So it is you to choose God so that you may live a life and discover your identity.
Yes.
Since discovering your identity seems like the key to success and the key to everything in life.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you so much. Let me pick two more people to tell us, what are you hearing? Joshua, please unmute and share with us, what are you hearing? What is standing out for you? What is that thing that you are picking out in the process? Joshua, please go ahead and unmute and share.
What I'm picking up is the question, who am I? Nimekuwa swali kinisumbua, nimekuwa nikichukua mimi si mseule, mimi si huyo Shamu Najijua. Nimekuwa nikienda sideways. Sasa ino ninaanza kujijua.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. One last person that I want to pick, Winnie. Winnie, you can unmute and share with us, what are you hearing? What is that truth that is standing out for you? Winnie, please go ahead and unmute and share. All right. Winnie, are you there? Okay, called Jayzak. That's a very powerful name. Jayzak, could you please unmute and share what you are learning so far? Jayzak, are you there?
Yeah.
Yes, Jayzak. Please go ahead and share what you're learning so far.
So far, I've learned to ask myself, who am I?
Yes.
The attitudes I've chosen, those are my responsibilities. And the lifestyle I adopt.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Isaac. I'm glad that we are going on well in this conversation. So let me try and give you some things here that I think are going to help you to be able to realize your identity and to live a very powerful and purposeful life. Now, I'm going to give you 5 misconceptions that you are going to face, and these things are going to try to define you, all right? And by the way, when you allow yourself to be defined by these 5 things, you have already lost the battle of identity. Why? Identity is a battle. There is a battle in the world to define who you are. And if you don't win that battle and take back the power of your identity, then you are going to not be able to choose the right attitudes, and you're not going to be able to choose the right lifestyle. And we are saying that you've got to be able to identify what are the misconceptions where identity are concerned. Now, when we talk about misconceptions, we are talking about things that will try to give you an identity, but they are not supposed to give you an identity. Now, here are the 5 quick things that I want you to remember. Number 1, one of the things that is going to try to define you is your